billion.7 required for installation, regraveling, and raising of some swamp sections under this phase. If you look at that graph, you will see, honorable colleagues, what the magnitude is. The short-term requirements. The requirements under short-term interventions include graveling, 1,203 kilometers of road, and construction of 45 kilometers of swamp crossings. The total funding requirement is 26 billion. And this, Madam Speaker, was prepared before we witnessed what we witnessed in Mbale just about 2 days ago. The ministry also plans to procure 10 units of Bailey bridges at a cost of 8 billion to provide bridging solutions to the event in the event of serious damage to major bridges on public roads. Medium-term requirements. The extent of damage to the roads and bridges network that can be handled in the medium term include 20 damaged bridges requiring overhaul and 21 kilometers of road requiring resealing. The total funding requirement of this category is 31 billion. When we look at food security and livelihoods, Madam Speaker, the above normal rain has caused waterlogging in many villages. What rule? Which rule?
Madam Speaker, without mentioning the rule, I've been following the Minister of Disaster Preparedness for carefully, and he's busy telling us about the broken roads when the Minister of Works is around.
Honorable Shabe,
Madam Speaker, the minister has gone on to quote the kilometers.
Honorable Shabe, please take your seat. The Prime Minister promised you a comprehensive report done by all the ministries. That's what he's doing. Please proceed.
Thank you for your very wise guidance to my honorable colleagues. Emergency requirements. The abnormal rainfall has caused waterlogging in many villages, rotting of foodstuff in the gardens, and inability to dry crops harvested, leading to huge post-harvest losses across the country. The most affected destroyed crops include root tubers, that's cassava and sweet potatoes, cereals like sorghum, beans, cowpeas, green grams, etc. The affected population, numbering about 8,500,000 people, urgently require shelter materials, that is tarpaulins, blankets, jerrycans, soap, sleeping mats, and relief food. The Office of the Prime Minister, Madam Speaker, had in stock just 100 rolls of tarpaulins. 100 rolls means there are these long rolls that we can divide to create small pieces, and each roll just creates about 20 of those pieces. 5,000 pieces of blankets, 5,000 pieces of sleeping mats, 1,500 pieces of jerrycans, just 500 cartons of soap, and those small things, that's what we had in stock. I'm happy to report that deliveries have been made to 68 most affected districts of Budoda, Bulambuli, Sironko, and all those districts are listed there. Right, Honorable Speaker, the short-term requirements. But I wanted to indicate to you, from this response, we have discussed with the Minister of Finance, who must take this very urgently and bring into the question of the contingency fund, which has not been utilized since the crisis started. We have just been depending on some support that we have been getting from partners for all the response that we have been undertaking, but a discussion chaired by the Prime Minister has directed the Minister of Finance to use the contingency fund to process a response. Short-term requirements. Right, Honorable Speaker, government through the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries, that's NADS, Operation Wealth Creation, will provide peanuts, fast maturing disease-resistant planting materials and pesticides. They, however, have indicated to the meeting that they will need 2.1 billion shillings to procure the inputs at the beginning of the next planting season. Right Honourable Speaker, just to emphasize this, the reports that we shared with the Minister of Agriculture have indicated the magnitude of crop loss that has been occasioned to the different parts of the country. And the peasants may not be able to recover on their own unless supported by the Minister of Agriculture, particularly when the next rain starts. Right Honourable Speaker, the desilting of dams to control flooding. And I say this with a fairly heavy heart. We have talked so much here, time and again, about the desilting of the dams. The 59 old and silted dams in the water-logging-prone subregions of Teso and Bukedi will be now desilted in phases and new ones constructed. This will reduce waterlogging and mitigate rotting of root crops. The requirement for desilting in the short term by the district local governments are as below. They have requested, the district local governments have requested the Office of the Prime Minister to ask the Minister of Finance just to release fuel and lubricants so that they can use the equipment available in the districts to desilt the dams. Maybe just to draw the attention of the members here who may not be familiar with those plain areas like Teso and Bukedi. When the British were here colonizing us, they saw that Teso, given the plain nature of the topography of the place, receives torrential waters from the Elgon Ranges and Mount Moroto Ranges. So in order to avoid flooding at people's homes, they silted a number of dams that were meant to arrest these torrential waters. And unfortunately, over the years, all these dams have, they dug dams that were meant to arrest these waters. But over the years, all these dams have been silted, hence requiring desilting. And Madam Speaker, that must come through. As for health, the Minister of Health has stepped up measures to prevent the leading causes of morbidity and mortality, especially in regard to malaria, diarrheal diseases, and respiratory infections. A total of 20 districts most prone waterborne diseases have been prioritized, namely Bududa, Namisindwa, Bulambuli, Manafa, Bukedia, and all those districts. For the emergency phase, the ministry planned for medical needs of about 100,000 households or 800,000 people in the 20 districts. Right Honourable Speaker, the incidence of malaria cases in the country has increased because of this situation from 750,000 to 1.3 million cases between April and October. It peaked to 1.8 million, affecting 77 districts by November 2019. The Minister of Health has supplied emergency anti-malarial rapid testing kits and anti-malarials for 77 districts. Right Honourable Speaker, the Minister has reached 4.8 million students through their mobilization to attempt to conscientize them. The Minister has so far distributed 583,659 mosquito nets. However, this in our meeting, we realized it's a drop in the ocean, given the fact that the waterlogging has caused the multiplication of malaria-causing mosquitoes in many parts that have been affected. So the ministry is taking up the matter. Regarding prevention of diarrheal disease outbreaks, the Ministry of Health has stepped up measures for detection, reporting, and treatment of cases. There is no cholera outbreak, fortunately yet, detected and reported in all the flood-prone affected areas. Right Honourable, what was not captured in the report here and which we shared with the Minister of Health is that when we reached Bukedia and some parts of the district, we found that now when they are pumping water from the boreholes, it is contaminated. And from the tests, it is presenting a big risk. And the Minister of Health's attention has been drawn to all those districts, and they are working around the clock with the district leaders to ensure that there is no cholera that will break out. However, due to contamination of water sources, like cholera have said, the risk is high, but so far the interventions seem to be containing. To ensure that the country is not threatened by cholera outbreaks, a total of 740,000 oral cholera vaccine doses were imported in October 2019 to be used in following cholera hotspots, districts of, again, Bododa, Zombo, Nebi, Pakwach, and Bulisa. Vaccination campaign in districts, this will start from when we prepared, we're talking of tomorrow, 24th. Vaccination campaigns in cholera hotspots has the wider benefit of protecting the population within the hotspots, the surrounding districts, and the country as a whole. Right Honorable Speaker, the ministry has supported districts to reactivate district epidemic task force meetings and has mobilized funds for additional 4 million anti-malarial treatments from Global Fund. In spite of all the responses so far made, the challenges are huge and increasing by the day, and the ministry requires additional support of 9 billion shillings for emergency activities detailed in the table that will follow. The ministry has supported districts to reactivate district, I think we mentioned that. Right Honorable Speaker, we have short-term requirements like community engagement so that the communities are aware and the local leaders do the mobilization, and the Ministry of Health has undertaken, it is already doing that, but they have undertaken to use most of the FM stations in the country to help in that direction. Forecasting of early warning. Right Honorable Speaker, when we met with the meteorology department, they said the rainfall outlook indicates that the current climate drivers, that is from September to December, rains in the country are still on, and the rains are expected to continue up to the end of probably the month of November. And this we have witnessed, Madam, yesterday. You saw it in the places that you visited, and it was in Mount Elgon and also in the Rwenzori region. Because of the devastating impacts of the rains which persisted from August to date, the Uganda Meteorological Authority requires some support to enable them to be able to do what they are doing and do it effectively. And they have also listed their requirements that were presented to the Minister of Finance. Right Honorable Speaker, the impact of flooding is highest in the sub-regions of Bugisu, Teso, Bukedi, and Kigesi, and Rwenzori. The districts of Untoroko, Kasese, Bundubujo are equally affected, like I've mentioned. 85% of the population in these sub-regions and districts are experiencing severe losses of livelihood, assets, in addition to common user infrastructure such as schools, roads, and bridges. The sub-region of Bugisu is experiencing very high level of landslides, in addition to flooding. Although many landslides are occurring, no deaths, apart from just 2 that happened in Sironka, have happened, and we regret for that. This time round, Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I am happy to report to you that the messages that have been communicated to the districts, particularly, allowed our people to relocate from the steep hills to go and live with their people from the plains, and then the government has been supporting them while they live with the host communities. And so that while landslides have taken place in the steep parts of the mountains, we have lost crops, we have lost other things, but we have not lost lives. And that to me is very positive. And I want to thank the leadership of Mount Elgon, the members of parliament here, who have collectively come to support us in giving this information and ensuring that people who live in steep floods leave the place. Although many landslides are occurring, no deaths have taken place. This time around, the people at risk cooperated and heeded guidance from the Department of Disaster Management and especially mitigation officers. The low-lying parts of sub-regions of Busoga, Rwenzori, Lango, Bunyoro, Karamoja, and West Nile have experienced losses due to flooding and storms, and the compounding factors of destructive winds and hailstones. A number of districts in the sub-regions of Buganda, that is Ankole, Acholi, parts of Toro and Bunyoro, though not heavily affected by flooding, have also witnessed destructive winds, hailstorms, and lightning. 25% of the population in these districts have incurred losses of plantations and crops, and their crops, especially bananas, maize, and beans. Right Honorable Speaker, when we discussed this with the Minister of Agriculture, these are the districts that we have captured, and we have indicated particularly the need to support them with implements, seedlings, and seeds come the next planting season so that they can get back on their feet again. Right Honorable Speaker, we have talked when Fungaro just entered, this happen. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to apologize on behalf of Irene Muloni and Dujanga for this. Yes. Shelter and housing. The floods have damaged many houses in several villages and the country, especially in Teso and Bukedi sub-regions. Many houses have collapsed, others have developed cracks, yet others have become too damp for human settlement. Hundreds of people have been displaced. The dam flows has increased the risk of pneumonia and bacterial infections among the affected population. The OPM Disaster Department has intervened with some waterproof plastic tarpaulins and sleeping mats. However, the need far overwhelms the available stocks. Like I said, the little intervention that the minister has been able to do was just thanks to the support from the partners. And the Minister of Minister of Finance has accepted to mobilize adequate resources after this so that we can respond adequately to other parts of the country. The education sector is one of the most prone to devastating effects of floods in regard to children and infrastructure. In the first 4 months, the district local governments reported 750 primary, secondary, technical institution buildings from across the country that have suffered destruction due especially to strong winds and floods. Some schools have closed due to flooding, but when we discussed with the Minister of Education, Madam Speaker and honorable members, we were happy to learn that almost all the schools did exams, because even those that were affected, the children were relocated to places where they were able to do their exams. And we thank the Minister of Education for that intervention, but there is a need to address the matter particularly critically from the place where the impact has happened. Under the capital development budget, the Ministry of Education and Sport has a provision for emergency construction. The Ministry, working with the district local government, are assessing the damage and losses across the country and will support renovation, reconstruction of the most deserving cases. Right Honorable Speaker, the rest is really a narration of the problem. And I wanted to say, Madam Speaker, what we have requested the Minister of Finance to do immediately, and that is, as we talk now, the Prime Minister is meeting the team from the Minister of Finance, is to break this down like we are broken, and the total requirement would come to a lot of money, something to do with about 43 billion, but we are saying we just need 9 billion for emergency intervention, and the Minister of Finance is supposed to provide that immediately so that response continues unbroken. The moment this emergency support that has come from partners is concluded, we should be able to proceed with the intervention from the ministry. Madam Speaker, and we wanted to ask Parliament to really direct my colleagues from Finance. We are together. We are not supposed to say that here. To sometimes also be very conscious so that timely response helps us to respond in time. Sometimes they seem to have a little bit of bureaucracy. They don't block the system, but they have a bureaucracy that sometimes is not in tandem with the kind of urgency that the emergency response deserves. So I am happy that my colleague and the team that are here have accepted. I thought I could say that for now. We will continue to do what we can, but again, Madam Speaker, climate change is real, and the whole country needs to rise up to make sure that we do what we call climate change mitigation. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Honour Minister. Members, as you recall, we asked the government to bring a comprehensive paper, and I can see other ministers are here. We shall give a limited debate. But before that, I wanted to know, you said something very curious, that the Prime Minister had to sit in order for you to access the contingency fund. That is illegal. Under the law, it's the Minister of Finance. Why does it have to take a Prime Minister to direct that contingency fund be accessed?
Madam Speaker, I think the bureaucracy in the Minister of Finance has not responded to the urgency of the situation. And that's why the Prime Minister, as leader of government business, has had to chair this meeting.
Minister of Finance, you are aware of Section 26 of the Public Finance Management Act.
Madam Speaker, I'm very aware of that section. When the Office of the Prime Minister wrote to us requesting for money from the contingency fund, we had advised them to first utilize what they have in the budget. Yeah, that's how it is managed. Because if you have money in the budget, then you cannot spend on the contingency unless you have exhausted, if it's for the same purpose, because the money that they had was for emergencies. So after that, we had to do as government. That's how the Prime Minister came in to look at the entire, because as you recall, Madam Speaker, we only have 60-something billion in the budget for contingency. So we had to sit down to look at Minister of Works, also look at other emergencies under OPM, so that we can live within the resource envelope that we have.
The question is, why have we not desilted these dams? You know, even in my area, the dams which were built by Vabiha are the ones which are there. And why are we not desilting dams?
I think the Minister of Works can ably
the dams are not
to the dams, yeah.
Okay, Honorable Kalemba, quickly, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'd like to inform the Minister of Finance and Disaster that the earthquake which happened in my constituency, Kakuto, 2016, up to now people have not been assisted. But they released funds, $200,000 to the neighbors in Tanzania. When His Excellency Magufuli came to Kakuto, he thanked His Excellency, the President, by assisting the people of Tanzania instead of the people of Kakuto. Up to now, the schools, the health centers, when you come to health center for Kakuto, the theater is not operating. Health center 3s, schools, toilets, we are fed up, but we are invited to fundraise to repair these schools and health centers. So I would like to know, the Minister of Disaster, do you have plans? For me, I am no longer coming to your office. And the Prime Minister, I stopped
Now,
3 years down the road.
Are you suggesting that Uganda gave money to the Tanzanians?
Yes, not suggesting. It is a fact. It is a fact. They gave. The earthquake happened in September 2016, but December, they released the money to Tanzania. And when you go to Tanzania, to our neighbors, they repressed all the schools and the houses. But in Kakuto, every time people ask us, we don't have answers. So we should be assisted. If Kakuto, you say that you can no longer assist them, you tell us. We say Kakuto County,
Go to Tanzania.
Alternative.
Now, I came to Kakuto. Is that the health center where there were cracks in the theater? They are still there?
They are still there. They are not, even in Kakuto theater is not operating because of the cracks. When you go to Minziro, you go to Chievere Center 3, you go to Kasensero, you go to Mitukula Center at the border. But our neighbors, they repair theirs across Mitukula border. So people now cross to Tanzania and they go there. Last time I was here, the fire station, we just went to Wukova to come and assist us to stop fire in Mitukula town. So what is happening?
That is regional cooperation. Ona Okaisa, that's regional cooperation. That's good support from our neighbors. Ona Okaisa.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
3 minutes.
The Minister in his presentation informed the House that they had to first rely on donations to attend to emergencies. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Finance and this Parliament, we need to operationalize the contingency fund. Because Section 26 of the Public Finance Management Act, 15%, Honorable Minister, of that money has to go to contingent emergencies like disasters and the rest. So I wonder why we would have to rely on donations, yet we have that money kept there for a response to disasters. And maybe of some time back, the Ministry of Works was requesting for 74 billion as emergency response to the road infrastructure which has been destroyed by disasters in the country. Sincerely, for my question also in that line, because for emergency response, it has to be a multi-sectoral approach. In our planning for this infrastructure, don't we foresee this, that we have to ask for 74 billion in the middle of a financial year or at the end of a financial year? What are the preparations, like the Ministry of Works? We have a challenge. When you go to Buda, the Buda Sachula Road is being washed away. The drainage is so poor. In your planning as Minister of Finance, what plans do you have, like in terms of drainage, to make the roads durable? What plans do you have? So for me, I find this, maybe in our planning as ministries, we've not really planned for long term. Maybe we do short-term work so that we keep getting money each and every time. Madam Speaker, when you talk about the people of Lambuli who have been resettled, we need to talk about people who are being resettled. We still have so many people in Ibukishi sub-region, in, of course, Ibududa, Manafa, who are still in the mountains, in those risky areas. Even these who have been resettled in Bulambuli, they still have some needs, and resettlement cannot be complete unless the needs of the people have been honored by giving information.
Thank you, my sister. Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, the information I wanted to give my sister is that during the month of July, Bududa was hit by landslides, mostly Wari and Bubita. Madam Speaker, as we talk, I think the minister may not be aware, the people who are displaced in Bubita are still in Bubita sub-county headquarters. I cannot estimate the number currently. The people who are displaced in Bugari, where I'm also affected, over 2,000. Honorable Nambesho was in the other meeting, he has the information. These people are staying in the Kitsawa and Mayoka primary schools. That's the information I wanted to give my sister.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We come from those affected areas, so when you see the Bududa issue, those are the challenges we are facing. So actually, special attention should even be given to the Elgon sub-region. Thank you so much.
Now, okay, Tayot, Koluo, Asamo, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for his statement. However, I want to set the record right and correct the impression created by the Minister. The Minister in his statement indicated that some areas, including Acholi sub-region, are not always affected by floods. Madam Speaker, this is not correct. Speaking specifically for Padre District, Madam Speaker, as we talk now, I have over 50% of the sub-counties in Padre District seriously affected by floods. As I talk now, Madam Speaker, some people had to be displaced from the sub-counties of Laguti, sub-county of Atanga, sub-county of Angagura, part of Awere, part of Lapul, part of Pajule because of floods. There are families in these sub-counties, Madam Speaker, who had to look for relatives in sub-counties that are not affected by floods to bury their dear ones because graves cannot be dug in their homesteads. So I want to correct this. Honorable Minister, even if we are to travel now to Padre District, you will see for yourself that we have over 6 sub-counties seriously affected by floods, and some people are even displaced up to now as we talk. So, Honorable Minister, we could be having problems of submissions by the district leadership, but please, I request that you get in touch or we coordinate with you and we set this record right. Acholi sub-region, and specifically speaking for Padre District, is seriously affected by floods. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker.
Koluo, then Asamo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Katakwi, more particularly the areas of Toroma, are usually affected by this problem of local water lodging. More especially the areas of Magoro, Kapujan, Omodoi, Amucha. Now, the Ministry of Disasters tried to do some intervention, but still there is a very big challenge. The families had cassava and potatoes. Totally, they don't have these tarpaulins for drying that cassava. So I request if the ministry can give these small size tarpaulins to families so that they are able to buy to dry the cassava. Then secondly, on the issue of desilting valley dams, there was this project of resiliency project, but it completely did nothing in Katakwi. A majority of valley dams, especially the valley dams that used to contain this heavy water coming from Karamoja, are desilted. I have spoken to the officials from the Ministry of Agriculture and Water. There is totally no intervention. I don't know what the government can do, especially desilting these valley dams. If these dams are desilted, there will be no problem completely. I thank you.
Honorable Asamo. But I hope the Minister of Finance will tell us whether we are talking about, are you going to give this money? I think that's the important thing. Are you going to give us the money? Because I hope you'll be able to tell us. Okay. Honorable Asamo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, when disaster occurs, there are people I represent, people with disabilities who are even more affected. But you find that the method of giving out things, people are fighting for things. People are fighting for food, people are fighting for basins. I think there should be an affirmative action of considering such people, that they can be given their share and they are able to get it. Otherwise, when we take a katogo and you expect, it depends on your energy. So I really want to beg the minister that when we are doing this for these people are more vulnerable and you need to take care of them. Right Honorable Speaker, I raised an issue last time of Wakiso School for the Deaf. The only secondary school we have in Uganda. I am being informed the Minister of Education came here with a budget. Up to today, the school has not been worked on. And yet the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Education had agreed to support that school. And we even asked just for some tents to be taken to the school. Nobody thinks about them. Why are we so insensitive for people who did not ask to be what they are? I think as government, as we talk here to ask for money for budgets, we need to think of Ugandans on equal basis. Otherwise, you find some of our people keep on asking and they wonder whether they belong to Uganda. So I really want to ask the minister, let's come up with the right program, with affirmative action. Whom are we giving? How many women? How many whatever? So that we get to know that everybody is going to access this kind of support. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Ono Mbabazi, Mujenyi, the runner, Achon, oh my God, everybody wants to talk. Okay, I'm coming like this, then I'll come back here.
Thank you very much,
then I come here.
Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to beg that maybe these issues of disaster are separated. For example, if we have a problem with schools, we know where to go. Last year, towards exams, P7 exams, I raised an issue. I went to my brother, the Honorable Minister, where a school, almost all the blocks where the children were supposed to sit their exams were down. Nothing was done. When I went to the ministry, I remember being told that they don't have money for schools. And they asked me to go to the Ministry of Education. When I went to the Ministry of Education, the same answer was given. And they'll keep telling you, go to the Ministry of Disaster, go to the Ministry of Education. And you do not know where to go. This year, I still have the same problem. One of the schools in my sub-counties is down. Primary school is completely down. They even had to move to another school to sit for their exams. But we don't know where to go. Because when you go to one of the ministries, education, the schools are not considered. We are looking at food, at basins, like my sister is saying. But after that, what are we going to do? The food. Madam Speaker, come next year, we are going to have a problem in our districts. We are going to have a problem because there will be no food. Right now, as we are talking, we are giving people food, the rice and everything. But what are we going to keep on doing, giving rice to people, beans to people? What are we going to do next year? Because all gardens are completely destroyed. So I don't know what we are looking at. I don't know what we are planning. We might be planning for today, but what are we going to do tomorrow? I therefore call upon the Minister of Disaster to look at tomorrow. Because we have, for me right now, all gardens are down. The Irish is finished. All my gardens are down. And when you go, they'll tell you you'll come for the rice tomorrow. You go for the rice is not there. The blankets are not there. You keep on moving up and down, and you even get tired of going. Therefore, I want to call upon the ministry and the other ministries concerned to come together and get a way forward, and we help our people in all our sub-counties. Thank you very much, Madam Honorable Speaker.
Honourable Member, I hope that the Minister of Education will confirm what has been written here, that under capital development budget, the ministry has a provision for emergency construction. I hope he'll be able to confirm that that money is there. Honourable Mujenyi, and I'm glad he's here. Honourable Mujenyi.
Thank you, Right Honourable
Then
Speaker.
Achon, then Mungoma.
Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for the statement. Right Honourable Speaker, most members are speaking with a lot of pain because we know what we go through when our voters really insult us, thinking that we are preventing them from getting what they are supposed to get. Madam Speaker, the case is different, that even when it has not rained in Butaleja, we get floods, especially from the waters that come from the neighboring districts. And for this reason, Madam Speaker, I would like to request the Minister to make a special consideration for such districts. For instance, in Butaleja, where we are affected and the houses were drawn down, I don't think we really need relief for rice. Because in Butaleja, we grow rice. We even don't have a market for rice. And Madam Speaker, last year when we were debating this issue of floods, we requested government that they should give business to our people who have enough food. Let them purchase food and store it for preparation for such, for such seasons, especially when we have disaster. But I don't know why government has failed to do this. Why should we import rice from other countries when we have people who grow rice in our country, in Uganda? Madam Speaker, we have areas where people just need shelter, iron sheets, blankets, tarpaulins for shelter. But now when you come up with the rice as a first priority, really we don't understand what kind of assistance is this. We actually appreciate what the minister is doing, but let us give priority where it deserves. Butaleja district needs a special strategy because we are really facing a lot of problems to give answers that we don't have to voters. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
No, Achon, then Mungoma.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Procedure. Madam,
Yes.
it looks, the way people are speaking, every constituency right now has a disaster. And the Minister of Disaster has a program on how to address it. The issue is money. Wouldn't it be procedurally correct for us now to deal with the issue of money to the ministry rather than individual? Because all of us have disasters. He broke the law by not providing for money in the constituency, in the constituency. Why don't we deal with that and have the money go to disaster? And then we deal with him if he doesn't provide with us.
That's why I had said that the minister would have to confirm that he's going to provide the money. Because all these problems need money. He has asked for money. You tell us, are you going to give him or not? That will solve the problem.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there are two issues that I wanted the minister to know. In Utuke, right now, cassava, sweet potatoes, and pumpkins that we feed on, the floods are taken away, they're all rotten. Not compared to western part of Uganda where people live on matoke. These are the roots which stay underground. So when you look at the condition where people from northern or east are suffering, I think we have unbearable condition. Secondly, Madam Speaker, In Otuke, we have the two main dams which were dug 5 years ago. These dams, I don't know either they're for advertisement. It has no use at all. During a drought season, people suffer of water. There's nowhere they would drink. People can't use even this dam for irrigation. So these are the kind of things which our country really suffer when something is done to be used. It's just remain there either for historical moment or to teach people. So I would really send my request to Honorable Minister. They should look into these dams really to be used accordingly.
Honourable members, you remember that the ministers provided information about the whole country, about the food, about the houses, about the dams, about the schools. So really, it's money. When are you going to give him this money? That's what we want to hear. So that we can leave him to go and deal with the issue.
Procedure, Madam Speaker. Procedure.
Money. Let's hear about the money.
Because procedure, Madam Speaker.
Let's hear about the money. What we want is the money which the ministers asked for here.
But how are they going to use it? First.
Money.
We had a meeting under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister, and we looked through what is actually needed now to address the immediate emergencies. And we are providing the money that is needed to cater for immediate emergencies. Yeah. Through the
I want you to confirm the following. I want to confirm that you provide 17 billion, 766, 796, 948 for the work sector, that you're going to provide 9 billion, 055 for non-food commodities. You'll provide emergency requirements, another 9 billion, 538, 250 for emergency requirements. Then early warning meteorological authority, 580 million. Water and sanitation and hygiene. You want, I think that's the 9 billion we talked about. A total of 43 billion, 716, 746. That's what we are asking for, Honorable Minister. The 43 billion.
That's what the ministries have asked for. But what we can raise at the moment, given the cash situation, is 20 billion, but to cater for the immediate emergencies. And we shall go through we are working with them to go through the immediate items. It's not all that money is needed now, because some is needed as we implement. For example, if you go for water, there are those...
Clarification.
Just a second. So, Madam Speaker, what we can confirm is that the money which they have gone through, the items that are needed immediately, the money will be funded through the contingency fund. And from our estimates, the 20 billion will be sufficient for now to cater for immediate items. That is money for food items, to fix the bridges which are needed to be fixed now, and then water. But, Madam Speaker, it's also important that this House broadens the debate to talk about how in the future we can avoid some of these issues. The issue of the wetlands, the issue of how to do proper farming to avoid to protect our terraces. These are issues that we need to discuss as members of Parliament and really avoid these emergencies in the future. But for now, the resources needed to cater for the immediate items for emergencies is available.
Minister of Disaster, are you able to move with the 20 billion?
Madam Speaker, we appreciate the challenge Minister of Finance has. But like I said, if we can do something for relief, for health, and for critical roads, the three sectors. Relief, health, and critical roads, because the Minister of Health
procedure
order.
here.
Mwanabona Anifa.
Order.
Mwana Anifa Kawea.
Thank you so much, Madam Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I normally don't like interrupting the senior ministers, especially when they are trying to tell us what they are doing in the ministries. But we are talking about a ministry of disaster. And the Minister of Disaster, Senior Minister of Disaster, I wouldn't want him to be disaster himself, to tell us. I am saying I wouldn't like. I am not saying he is. I wouldn't like. So, the order I'm raising, is it in order for the minister to say that if there is money he would wish, whereas there is a lot of money that is using to donation to buy halls for the ministers, is it in order to tell us there is no money for the disaster problems like Zimbabwe, to claim that if he wishes, is in order to come here and tell us the wishes when it comes to halls for the ministers, amulia, food?
Now,
is he in order to misguide the House?
When will the 20 billion be available? When will it be available, the 20 billion? Is it tomorrow?
Madam Speaker, the Minister for Disaster Preparedness has put in a request, and the request is being processed. We think in the next 2 days we should be able to release the money to the ministry, because it takes a few days to release, as you know, Madam Speaker. But what we can confirm is through the meeting we had, the items which were identified as critical emergencies that need immediate attention will be fixed. Thank you.
Please. Go for sir.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to seek clarification, because we seem, first of all, to take the whole of this country as if we have the same problems and we use the same solutions. But also we seem to push the issue of money as if it is the only thing that we need. Madam Speaker, I stood on this floor 2 months ago and informed this House that a whole parish in Busaru sub-county is sinking. And I requested government to send scientists, geologists, meteorologists to go and study what is happening in Bundibugyo. We are in the Rift Valley. We are scared that maybe the processes that formed the Rift Valley are again coming up. As I talk now, we have over 100 families that we have guided to move away from that place. Do we need money to send our own scientists in the geology department, in lands, to go and find out what is causing the problem? Are we waiting for people tomorrow to die and then we begin rushing there? Up to now, there is nothing that the government has done. When we report here, Madam Speaker, the Right Honorable First Deputy Prime Minister said we are using the wrong channels to bring the reports here, that we should report to the Office of the Prime Minister. Our District Disaster Committee's report, I have copies of those reports, but the OPM is not responding. It's not only about the money, but there is a lot of indifference. Our ministers are not listening to us. They're not responding to the issues we are bringing them. Is it only about the money, Madam Speaker?
Further procedure.
No.
Further procedure.
I asked whether there is money because there were a number of interventions proposed and they needed money. That's why I asked, is the money there? Because that's what we need to hear first.
Further procedure, Madam Speaker.
Now,
further
concerning the issue raised by Honorable Mhumuza, it is true he raised it. Please, Honourable members. It is true the honourable member raised that issue that part of the land was sinking, and we asked the government to go and establish what is happening. Order.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, we are going to send our team immediately.
Okay. Honour members, is there anything which is not part of this, other than what?
Yes, madam.
Is there a volcano somewhere?
Yes, clarification.
Okay, Mungoma.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
You have already contributed. Both of you, please, take your seats. No, take your seats.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Okay. And the Honorable Minister for ably trying to indicate the views, what is happening in Uganda. Madam Speaker, I was carefully listening to my neighbor, and I was mentioning that food items and non-food items, including tarpaulins, soap, blankets, medicines, are being delivered to Bulambuli. Yes. Madam Speaker, what I know, yesterday I was just from the constituency, and what I had, in fact, I had a very big meeting with all chairpersons, LC1, LC2, LC3s. What I heard from the people is that they received some small rice, yes, but these other non-food items which my colleague has just put across, Madam Speaker, there is nothing completely. We need to be very honest in this house. I know that very important issues are decided in this house, and once we have decided, we implement. But when you just allege things which are not there, Madam Speaker, it's really very, very unfortunate. Secondly, Madam Speaker, urgently what we need as people of Lower Bulambuli is that we need to refix the bridges which are broken, which connects the health center for.
Honour members, I think that's what the minister has said. He's giving money to the Works Ministry as a priority for those bridges. That's what he has said here.
Speaker. Thank you.
The bridges, the food, it's only Honourable Gafamsa's issue which had not been covered by this. Please. Fungaro.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I would like to thank the Minister for bringing this information. But emergency is emergency. Emergency means now. There are certain things which he has raised here. We raised these issues here. The responses we get from the Ministry of Works, for example, on issues of roads, when the roads are blocked, are that let us wait for the rains to subside so that we can start to work on the roads. Okay, technically speaking, that's okay. That is the part of rehabilitation or response. But emergency, for the sake of Obongi, Madam Speaker, where the roads taking food for the refugee settlements in Palorena, all 3 roads are blocked and their vehicles. So the question here is, don't you think about another alternative of delivering food by air, by water? For example, by water it works. If you have engaged, you are thinking critically, you could bring food up to yes, no, please, up to Pakwach. Madam Speaker, right from Pakwach, you can move along the Nile up to Obongi, up to Angalia Chini, which Angalia Chini landing site. Yes, there is a landing site called Angalia Chini in Itula sub-county where you can offload the food and directly it goes to the camp. I'm giving you practical solutions. I agree with the people of the Ministry of Works. I've worked with them. I came through the water. But the element, your element actually of emergency is the one which is not working. Because I have talked to the people of the Ministry of Works, Moyo UNRWA station, I went to Gulu. All the answer they give me is, wait, let the water subside. Okay,
Are you responding to his statement or you are bringing your own issues?
The statement doesn't address the issue of the emergency in Obongi, where the Obongi, Ajumani, Atiak Road is closed, Obongi, Kwilinga Road is closed, Obongi, Moyo Road is closed, and there are vehicles with the food stuck there. Food cannot go. We have refugees there. World Food Program is here. UN, you have international partners. Why don't you use the helicopter? Why don't you use water, food, means of transport to deliver medicines and food to Bongi, to Palaronya refugee settlement, so that you help the refugees? This is the issue I'm raising, Madam Speaker.
Wait, and then Honorable Guma. Wait.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have the 20 billion there, as the Minister of Finance has said. But now the issue is how this money is going to be utilized. Madam Speaker, this is a big issue. When these contingents or emergency funds are good, the way it is distributed is not fair to the entire nation. Madam Speaker, for me, I'm stuck with 2 requests from my Mayuge people. 2 requests, faithfully approved by the minister. And when you go to the commissioners, they toss you up and down. I don't know whether after the minister approving, he calls his commissioners and says that Majegere is coming. Don't give, I don't know. So, Madam Speaker, let us look at how these funds are going to be utilized. We want this money to be distributed fairly to all corners of this Uganda. Okay, you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Majegere, for giving way. The information I wanted to give you and this House, if you are listening to BBC, they reported a massive landslide in the western Kenyan Rift Valley, killing about 40 people. And they also said that there is going to be heavy, and in Somalia, they say there's going to be heavy rainfall in Eastern Africa. So the information I'm seeking through you is, and giving through you, is, Madam Speaker, probably the minister should tell the country when it is going to stop raining. Because these problems, the minister, just a second, they could make the country know, because the government cannot reach every household. We are a third world country. But can we be told when these rains would stop for planning purposes?
Honour members, in this statement, the minister explained that, and is also asking for money for the Meteorological Authority to improve on the forecasts. Please conclude.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, when the minister approves, you go to the ministry, they toss you up and down. I went to the ministry, they told me that they are giving food to Wakiso. Can you imagine Mayuga and Wakiso, and you are prioritizing Wakiso? How do you prioritize your activities if you compare Mayuge and Wakiso? I'm stuck with your 2 approvals. I have them. Madam Speaker, when we look at the issue of roads and the Ministry of Education, buildings, we need to look at where did the engineers of Boteri Gym go? Because the buildings built during that time, they are still standing. The buildings built by that time of Boteri, they are still standing. But right now, our engineers build a classroom for 6 months, it's already giving way. It is collapsing. So where are those engineers? So that we can be able to improve on our buildings and we be able to mitigate these disasters. I thank you.
Guma.
Madam Speaker, there seems to be an endless debate about these issues, disasters, every part of Uganda. I would want to propose, rather procedurally speaking, the national budget is passed by this parliament. Now, wouldn't it be a good procedure if the portfolios concerned, the portfolio of disaster and the Ministry of Finance, which is at the center of the discussion, which has the national pass, sit under the budget committee and make a proposal so that we can recast the national budget. Because we have the legal mandate, if we think, if it is in our correct thinking that there is sufficient information and problem, that there is need
to readdress the budget, to recast the budget before next fiscal year. We can do it here. Wouldn't it be a correct procedure to push all these issues back to the budget committee? I think. And we recast the national budget to reflect the needs of the day.
I don't know. Honour members, I think we should help the minister and help ourselves. If the minister could assemble the chairs of disaster committees in all the districts in one place, they can sit and prioritize, because they come from all over the country, and prioritize the needs. Yes.
Clarification, Madam Speaker. Clarification.
Okay, Nambesha, and then. Okay, Nambesha here.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the budgetary allocations that have been made in that statement by the minister exclude crucial components of emergency operation. Take the case of Bududa and Wundibujo, for instance. He has mentioned in that statement the many landslides which have devastated mainly crops and livestock. He hasn't mentioned lives. But with the pounding heavy downpours, there are looming landslides at the cost of lives. He should have come with an allocation for an evacuation plan. These people who are sinking, for instance, ought to be evacuated. Such a plan should be there in this statement. And how about those who are living in high-risk hills which are full of numerous cracks? And with the heavy downpours, those cracks will let loose, and the heavy landslides, catastrophic ones, will destroy lives. It is by omission and commission that a budgetary allocation to evacuation of such people living in those high-risk places is missing, Madam Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, this boils down to the question of money. This boils down to the question of money. But Right Honorable Speaker, you presided over Parliament that passed the Public Finance Management Act. And you specifically specified a contingency fund. We had a long debate with the Minister of Finance in the Budget Committee when he failed to provide for 140-something billion that is required under the law to be put aside as a contingency fund. All this debate will not ensue if we had stuck with what the law says. So, Right Honorable Speaker, would it be procedural right if we find a way of going back to what the budget and the Constitution speculates, and we provide the money? Because, Right Honorable Speaker, you are crying this year. Government is not giving this Parliament right information. What is even envisaged next year is worse, because this country is going to have the worst floods ever seen in decades. Next financial year, next rains, they are going to be the worst we have ever experienced. And government has all this information. So as we fire brigade, they know, as we fire brigade, let us go back and stick to what the law says. There is money put aside in the law, which the Minister of Finance fails to provide every financial year. And they come here, bombast Parliament, make you cry louder and clear. So why can't the Minister of Finance specifically go back to what is provided in the law, put it aside? It can solve all these problems of 40 billion. He provided only 37. So that's the information I wanted to give. That can you help this? Let us go to what the law says.
Minister of Health, then Honorable Karunji.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we all appreciate the position that the Ministry of Finance is in, but also, Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Finance has clearly indicated that out of the 43 billion, it's 20 billion that can be raised as of now. And Right Honorable Speaker, maybe to put all this to rest, because members are still raising issues from their constituencies. Maybe it would be, I want to propose, Right Honorable Speaker, that the Minister of Disaster could go and sit down so that we look at the most critical. Because when you look at this budget, the 43 billion, the bulk of it, 17 billion, goes towards road works and the bridges, repair and so on. So Right Honorable Speaker, would indeed be procedural right for the Minister of Disaster to go and sit down and come and inform this House, maybe tomorrow, on what the 20 billion is going to be used for, so that we can move and see in the immediate what we can use the 20 billion for. I'm just making that proposal. Thank you.
I don't know whether, Honorable Karunji, I don't know whether, because I had proposed that maybe it sits to the disaster committees of the district. Yes. I don't know they're up to date on the issues. Okay, Honorable Karunji.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to thank the Minister for the statement, and I want to thank him that last year when we had famine, he really helped us. But this time I think I've understood because I've been annoyed with him. Recently we had a lot of too much landslides in different parts of the district, and in a certain sub-county called Kayonza we even lost a woman whom the rain found in her kitchen preparing lunch for the family, and so it had to sweep her with her kitchen and part of the house. And so that issue is there, but we have not received any relief, but thanks to God, I hope the Honorable Minister, the money he's going to release, Kanungu will benefit from that. However, Madam Speaker, I'm somehow worried about one of the colleagues has made a statement here that it seems in the West because of Matoke, maybe we are somehow okay. It's not true, Madam Speaker. The fact that we have Matoke, that Matoke died a long time ago because of the banana wilt. We no longer have it. In most districts, we don't have the bananas in the most districts. So I decided to say it so that I can arrest my fears that maybe when this hope comes, you will not forget the Western because of that issue. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, the Minister is directed to go and prepare a schedule of priorities and come back tomorrow, bring it to this House, of the 20 billion, to bring it to this House, so that we can... Final.
Madam Speaker, I want to...
Member on the floor, there's a member on the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there is scientific evidence and high impact international journals from out scientists sending early warning signals to people and governments that care for their citizens. And when you take interest in those high impact general international publications, Uganda is dotted or highlighted. Madam Speaker, this is critical. The East African Rift Valley, there is something fundamentally going wrong. And no amount of strong parliaments might revert. But I think the best way to solve a problem is to identify the problem fundamentally and then put a fundamental solution. I'm here, Madam Speaker, to provide a solution. And I think this is kind of great. We've heard from, and I really want to thank you, Mr. Minister. You really work hard. I'm one of those that really commend you for your great work. You're diligently serving our country. Personally, I really appreciate it.
Now, Madam Speaker, I've heard from the budget, the bridges. I'm just asking if the problem is the limited resources. Why can we say that instead of using disaster money on bridges, we ask UNRWA to handle that so that the limited money that we have basically focuses upon the emergencies in terms of food relief. Madam Speaker, every time there is a disaster in my place, I give a copy to you, to your office. The minister is here. I've written about 4. Every year I have a disaster. 2016, 2017, 2018, and even this year. So when it happened this year, Madam Speaker, I decided to write another letter to the minister. For one reason, every time I write a letter seeking for relief intervention, I get a response from the minister, no money available. And I said, how long will I continue with that? So we keep responding to these emergencies using our small resources. My last submission, Madam Speaker, is this being a big and countrywide problem, I ask the minister that you look into literally the national perspective, including literally every district. And I think the entry point will be, Madam Speaker, this country is endowed with the resource capabilities. Every district has got a disaster committee. Can you call an emergency critical meeting? Call these people up country to give you status reports, and you'd base upon those reports to give a clear intervention. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
So, honour members, the minister is directed to go and work out the priorities of the 20 billion and come back tomorrow to report to the House. The Minister of Energy has agreed to go and address the issue in Vundivujo and come give us a report, I think, by Thursday. Kakuto, I think the ministers will answer. Minister of Health is here. Let us answer about Kakuto. Yes, Speaker Simile.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you particularly for the guidance you have given to the House for the minister to return tomorrow. But I would also think the issue you raised about district committee, disaster committees, would work better, because the experience we have had, the other day, colleagues were holding a press conference accusing the Minister for Disaster for using his office and the funds for disaster to buy hose to give to the ministers to go and distribute in their respective constituencies. Yes. And we would be happy if us whom he graded in 25%, because in my place, we reported a number of disasters to this House, and also the district chairperson made a report that was duly received by the office of the Minister for Disaster and the Prime Minister's office.
So what's the point of procedure?
My procedural issue is that whereas we are emphasizing the issue of money, there is also about the use of the money, the aspect of the use of the money, and also the nature of whether everybody is going to be covered.
Now, on that one, members, I think you will need the Auditor General to tell us how the money was used, because no one knows. Let's get the Auditor General's report on that one. So, Honour Minister, tomorrow, please, let's move on.
I'll do that tomorrow, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Next item. 3-4.
I,
Next item.
Item 3-4.
the brutality on some leaders and delegates from the Forum for Democratic Change by the Uganda Police Force on Monday, 4th November 2019.
Minister of Internal Affairs. Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, before I read this statement, I would like, just for my guidance, this statement, we uploaded it last week, and we not presented it here. But we found one of our daily newspapers had already printed it. And I do not know the procedures of Parliament regarding statements being made in Parliament, whether they become a public document after or before they are presented. I just wanted your guidance for posterity.
I think the challenge you have these days is that once you upload, you have actually laid. Once you upload, you have laid. So it becomes a public document.
Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker, we were supposed to have made this statement on the 7th of November this year, but because of some events and the activities in Parliament last week, we were unable to do so. So I will not read the introduction, which essentially was explaining why there was a delay. And I do hope this statement is on your iPads. I will go to the item chronology of events. On the 14th of October, 2019, the Honorable Semuju Ibrahim Nganda, spokesperson for the Forum for the Democratic Change Party and a member of Parliament for Kira Municipality, wrote to the Inspector General of Police indicating that his party, the FDC, was intending to have a one-day seminar on governance at Nambole Mandela Stadium car park. In his letter, the Honorable Semuju indicated that FDC leaders, members and supporters, many around Kampala and Wakiso, were to attend by invitation. On the 1st of November 2019, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Asumani Mugeni, Director of Operations, in response to the notification, informed Honorable Semuju that his letter had been received. However, the Honorable Asumani Mugeni raised the following 5 points. One, he requested that the police be availed with a proof of permission from the owner of the venue, the management of Mandela Stadium. Number two, he advised that the car park is an open space which will not be conducive for holding a seminar of that nature. Number three, activities should be in compliance with the roadmap of the Electoral Commission, and here was basically referring to the issue of an open campaign. If to be so. And finally, the Honorable Asumani Mujeni advised the Honorable Semuju to provide a copy of the day's program to enable police draw a comprehensive security plan in order to be able to secure the event. Sadly, in spite of the response, the requests and guidelines given by the police, the Honorable Semuji never responded to the 5 points that I've raised. Yes, I would like to read the letter of the Honorable. It's not part of my text, but let me read the letter of the Honorable, of Asumani Mujeni. It was dated on the 1st of November, addressed to the Honorable Semuji Ibrahim Nganda, the FDC spokesperson, Chief Opposition Whip, Parliament House, Kampala. Reference, FD's 15th anniversary event at Nambole on December 15th. Reference is made to yours, to the Inspector General of Police dated 14th of October regarding the events at Nambole. This is request you to show up a proof of permission of the venue owners. Secondly, the car park is an open ground which is not enclosed. You are advised to conduct your seminar consultation indoors, and your activities should be in compliance with the Electoral Commission roadmap. A copy of the day's program should be availed to this office to enable commanders draw sufficient security plans. Looking forward to your response. This letter was dated on the 1st of November, 2019. I'll lay this copy on the floor. Here we are talking about the car park of the Mandela Stadium, not inside the stadium. I'll lay a copy right on the speaker. Instead, there was no response, as I said. Instead, on the 3rd of November, at 14 hours, that's about 2 p.m., Honorable Semuju sent some people to erect tents at Nambole Stadium parking ground. Based on intelligence, the DPC Kira Division responded immediately and tasked the organizers to avail her with the necessary requirements as had earlier been requested in the response letter of the Director of Operations, as I had read. Honorable Semuju did not produce any. On the 4th of November, 2019, at 10 hours, which is about 8 a.m., FDC members, led by their leaders, who included but were not limited to Honorable Patrick Amuriat Oboy, the Honorable Semuju Nganda, and Colonel Dr. Kiza Besije, forcefully attempted to access the proposed ground, the Nambole Stadium parking yard. However, police had earlier sealed off the venue because of the non-compliance with the requirements. Upon realizing that the premises had been sealed off, the leaders directed their supporters who had gathered and were now numbering about 500 to proceed to their offices, that is FD's offices in Inajanakumbi. Soon, a rowdy procession started heading towards Kampala Central Business Center, waving and shouting Twera Neko, I don't know whether I've pronounced it very well, but I'm sorry if I've mispronounced it. At about 11 hours, police intercepted this rowdy procession at Kreka Farmers Market and cautioned them not to move in a procession. This is about 1 kilometer from Mandela Stadium. They defied the police. Instead, they parked their vehicles in the middle of the road, thereby blocking and paralyzing the flow of traffic. Police had no choice but to disperse this defiant crowd. But this was done after making a proclamation declaring the process and the procession illegal. By then, Dr. Kizza Besigye had emerged as the de facto leader of the procession. Police therefore engaged him in a talk. He was offered a lead car in order to give him way to other road users. He refused this offer, or to heed to any suggestions towards peaceful movement to Najja Nakumbi. As a result of the standoff created by Colonel Besigye's refusal to heed to any negotiations, rowdy crowds built up. These rowdy crowds started pelting the police with stones, resulting in the injury of the following officers: Corporal Buio Anthony, a driver of the police; Police Constable Maliamungu Dennis; and Police Constable Oyet Christopher. On top of injuring the above, 2 police vehicles were damaged. The normal traffic flow was seriously disrupted. These cases of assault and malicious damage have been opened up at Kira Road Police Station. Attempts were made to tow away Dr. Kizza Besigye's vehicle, which he had parked in the middle of the road. It failed 3 times. This was because the towing hooks on the vehicle, both in front and behind, were missing on Kizza Besigye's vehicle. It is suspected they were deliberately removed earlier in anticipation after, in earlier circumstances, this same vehicle had been towed away. After some time, Dr. Kizza Besigye and the group, in defiance of police instructions, continued to drive towards the central business district, waving to the crowds, but also causing a lot of jam. On reaching Nakawa at Spare Motors Junction, he again parked at the junction. This caused another traffic paralysis along the roads which are radiating to Mboya, from Jinja to Kampala and to Mtinda. Police had no choice but to use reasonable force to remove Dr. Kizza Besigye and the other occupants who had locked themselves in the vehicle. This action on the part of the police is provided for in Section 3, Subsection 2 of the Criminal Procedure Code Act, Cap 116, and Section 21, Subsection 2B of the Police Act, Cap 303. Right Honorable Speaker, for the information of members, I could read these brief sections so that they are aware. Criminal Procedure Code, Section 3, Subsection 2, reads as follows. Search of a place entered by a person who is sought to be arrested. If ingress to such a place, entrance to such a place cannot be obtained under subsection 1, it shall be lawful in any case for a person acting under warrant And in any case in which a warrant may not issue but cannot be obtained without affording the person to be arrested an opportunity to escape, for a police officer to enter the place and search in it, and in order to effect an entrance into the place, to break open any outer or inner door or window of any house or place, whether that of the person to be arrested or of any other person, if after notification of his or her authority and purpose and the demand of admittance duly made, he or she cannot otherwise obtain admittance. Section 21, subsection 2B of the Police Act reads as follows. The heading is General Powers and the Duties of a Police Officer. Subsection 2. Subject to subsection 2, 27, a police officer in the performance of his functions under subsection 1 may, without a warrant, and at any hour of the day or night, enter into any premises to which a dissolute or disorderly characters are resorting. End of the quote. Yes, premises in our view includes a vehicle. After being removed from the vehicle, Dr. Kiza Besije was arrested with his driver, Kato Fred, and his ADC, Twesije Benon. They were all detained at Nagalama Police Station on charges of inciting violence and obstructing the road. A further total of 56 suspects were also arrested, detained at Kira Road Police Station, and charged with inciting violence. The 56 suspects are residents of Kawempe, Makerere, Makindye, Rubaga, and Nakawa divisions. That is the explanation of the circumstances under which he was arrested. Our observations. There is a growing tendency by some members of the public to hurl insults at the police while police are doing their legitimate work. And here legitimate work within the law includes the legal process of arresting a person. This, we think, is unacceptable. Many people have gone as far as physically assaulting the police, which is also unlawful. Furthermore, police are human. If I could paraphrase here, this is not in the text. There is a book I read, Merchant of Venice, and there was a character who was demonized called Psylocke the Jew, and he said, if you tickle us, can't we laugh? If you prick us, can't we bleed? The police are human. They can only take so much. Let us all be supportive of our police as they do their work of maintaining law and order and keeping us all safe. If they make mistakes, let us use the proper channel to address those mistakes. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, may I lay on table the letter of Asumani Mujeni, which he wrote on behalf of the Inspector General of Police on the 1st of November 2019. This letter, the heading is FDC anniversary events at Nambole on November and December. It was copied to the FDC President, the FDC Secretary General, the Commander, Kampala Metropolitan Police, the District Police Commander, Kira. I beg to lay.
Thank you.
The other one is a public document. I can only refer to the headings of the Criminal Procedure Code. I said subsection 3, section 3, subsection 2. You can refer to that. And the Police Act under General Powers, section 21, subsection 2B. I thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a few comments, Honorable Atkins. 3 minutes. Then Chivumbi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Minister, for shocking the nation when your fellow or our fellow citizens were recovering from shock at what could have really happened if that high pressure water had killed a leader, one of our leaders. I'm shocked, excuse me, Mr. Minister, that there is no remorse in your communication. No remorse whatsoever. Human beings must be treated with dignity, respect, and honor, no matter who they are and where they belong politically. Mr. Minister, sir, be kind to the people you meet on your way up, because you'll find them on your way down. People don't fall, Mr. Minister, people don't fall from the valleys. They fall from the top. You're on top today. You'll be in the valleys tomorrow. But we promise that when we take over government very soon, we'll treat you better. Now, aside from that, Madam Speaker, I want to believe that the letters presented before this House could be a concoction. I'm asking you, Madam Speaker, very kindly, to demand from the Minister proof that the purported letters were indeed received by the leaders. My Secretary General is here, Madam Speaker. It's just whispered to me that he did not receive that letter. We want proof that Honorable Semiju, that features in your letter, indeed received your letter. But Madam Speaker, we've been to international conferences together. Some of the questions that the audience has presented to attention is the level and scale of human rights abuses. And I want to end with just a citation from our Constitution. Article 21, fundamental rights, Mr. Minister, and freedoms of the individual are inherent and not guaranteed by the state. I want that to be noted by you and the officers. Number 2, the rights and freedoms of the individual, and Dr. Besigye in particular and other leaders and groups enshrined in this chapter shall be respected, upheld, and promoted by all, not some, all organs and agencies of government, and by all persons. This is the Constitution. Article 2:1. This is the supreme law of Uganda that shall have binding force on all authorities and persons throughout Uganda. Now, authorities includes the authority of IGP, including the Minister for Internal Affairs, and all persons includes those that hold offices. Madam Speaker, it is now a pattern and a trend. The people highlighted here. Madam Speaker, sadly, I lost a mother.
Honorable Kivumbi. Please conclude.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I lost a mother, and as a leader, Dr. Besigye was touched and traveled to Kasese to empathize with me and my family. Madam Speaker, Dr. Besigye was blocked from getting to Bari to condole with my family, to empathize with me, until I told the crowd, because literally the entire district had assembled at home, and I said, we are going to abandon Barrios, and we're going to rescue Dr. Besigye, and I'll have him ushered into Barrios. So this has nothing to do with processions. You are going overboard. You are overstepping your mandate. Lastly, Right Honorable Wilfred Bihanda lost a father-in-law. Honorable Chagulanyi traveled to go in Bari. He too was stopped until we used the same threat that we will abandon Barrios and go and pick up. So, have we lost as a country a sense of shame, Mr. Minister? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Now, Chifumbi, 3 minutes. Then Honorable Muiru.
Right Honorable Speaker, let's start with the low-hanging fruits. Right Honorable Speaker, it's regrettable that the Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs lays on table a letter purportedly written to Honorable Semuju Nganda on 1st for an event that is supposed to happen on 15th December. FDC is organizing an anniversary at Nambole on 15th December. So Honorable Semuju Nganda wrote, and this letter is displayed, is a response to a completely different event. So procedure before I proceed, should we humbly withdraw this letter?
I've not seen it.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Is this a letter which the minister tabled? Okay, this is the heading. FDC 15th anniversary event at Nambole on December 15, 2019. That is the heading. This event has not yet come.
Right Honorable Speaker, I didn't read the Honorable Semuju's letter. If you mind, I will read the soft copy and produce a copy for the file. But it is to exactly the same thing. The heading is exactly the same, but it contained two events in the same letter. That's why we are referring to the heading, as it was addressed to. Yes. So if, Right Honorable Speaker, if you wish, I could read the full letter of Semuju. It will contain both.
Things better.
Yes, I will lay a hard copy thereafter. Semuju's letter was written on the 14th of October, 2019. It is addressed to Inspector General of Police, and it is on the letterheads of the FDC. The subject is FDC 15th anniversary event at Nambole on December 15th, 2019. The content reads as follows. This is on December 15th, 2019 at Nambole National Stadium. This function will attract about 2,000 FDC leaders, members, and supporters, mainly around Kampala and Wakiso. The FDC will also host a one-day seminar on governance on November 1st at Nambole Stadium, which will attract about 1,000 participants. Permission to stage these two functions in the car park yard of Nambole has been lodged. Permission to stage these two functions in the parking yard of Nambole has been lodged. Sincerely, Semuju Ibrahim Nganda, FDC spokesperson, Chief Opposition Whip, copied to the FDC President, the FDC Secretary General, Kampala Metropolitan Police, DPC, Kira. So, Asmani Mujeni was responding under the same heading as captioned by FDC to two events. And it was in this particular respect the earliest event which was taking place. I thank you.
Madam Speaker, that's the gravity of what we are experiencing when we are organizing these events. In the Public Order Management Act, it was envisaged that if there is contention between the organizer and the authorizing agency, a magistrate should intervene. After you have failed to agree for a meeting convened, the law directs the authorizing agency to invite the organizer for a meeting to discuss an alternative venue. In the event that they disagree, they should go to the magistrate to hear a case out. Now, what they do is this kind of letters, and that's where they commit actual fraud. They write to, now that letter, which says, referred to an event on first is when that letter was written. And the function was on first, on fourth. Now, Right Honorable Speaker, that letter, if you read it, only refers to the content of the event on 15th. It doesn't in any way speak for the events that were to happen on 4th. Not a single letter, not a single paragraph, not even a comma. So, Right Honorable Speaker, how would the organizers respond? How would they know what they meant for the events that were supposed to be on 1st? And how would they move court if they wanted to disagree? So, Right Honorable Speaker, that is the method of work which you have insisted, that let government, let the authorities work within the ambit of the law. We are simply saying the law may be bad, but can we all attest and work within the dictates of the law? Is that the police is failing to work within the dictates of the law, they are abusing and offending the law consistently. That is what we believe is extremely unfair. Two, in response to the ministers, he does not in any way justify the method used, because it was an attempted murder on Dr. Kizza Besigye. Those of you who saw the video clips on TV, that kind of waterboarding, where it was a terrorist act. Had Besigye not been so lucky, by this time he would be dead. So, in any way, that is not reasonable force. So, Right Honorable Speaker, our bone of contention, should a letter like the Honorable Speaker, should that letter stand when actually it does not in any way refers to the events so forth? So the minister should be honest to goodness and say he never responded to Honorable Semju's content on the events so forth, and therefore you acted outside the law.
No, Mwiru. Mwiru, then
Thank you
Warswaka.
so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to school the Minister on what was the legislative intent in enacting this law. It was about to safeguard public order. That was the intent. But you see, whenever there is destruction, chaos, tear gas, and blood in these activities, then the legislative intent is lost at that point. The law as is to the effect that the work police has no mandate to prohibit these activities. Their mandate extends to regulation of these activities. And that, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I'm fortified by the case of Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi versus the Attorney General, where the court was very clear on the mandate of police, that you can only regulate. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister, you are a very good friend of mine. I don't expect you to come here with that type of letter. But Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Honorable Semju consulted me when it was on the first that the Inspector General of Police hadn't responded to his letter. It is me who gave him the number of the Inspector of the Director of Operations, Asman Mgenyi, and said, please call him and insist that he should respond to the letter. Actually, they just squared because he told him, I'm busy, wait. I told him, call him again, and we insisted that actually under the law, Uganda police is required to respond to letters written to them. That's why even the letter the Honourable Minister is moving with, there's no evidence that actually that letter was ever served on Honourable Semuju or on the parties is actually is alleging. Finally, Right Honourable Speaker, we want to lay a foundation for the security of our country. And you can only do that by those who have public power, exercising it lawfully, the way it's supposed to be. Honourable Minister, as a friend, go and instruct Uganda Police, because that when we write to them, they must respond. For instance, Honourable Speaker, I had a training on Friday, which I organized myself as a member of Parliament and Microfinance Support Center. When I wrote to police 2 weeks, they told me that they are consulting Kampala. I kept on calling whoever is responsible. Then later they tell me that, you know what, we have not got clearance from Kampala, so the function may not take place. I told them, no, you don't have the power to stop it. When I insisted, then the RPC told me that now since what you do, just go on with the function. We shall monitor. And the function went on without them writing back to me to inform me about their...
Please conclude.
In the conclusion, Honourable Speaker, what we are requesting from the Minister, it doesn't take pass for us to come and start exchanging. We want you to instruct the Uganda Police that if they have issues with an organized function, they should write back and point out the issues. The law does not give them the power to prohibit an enjoyment of a right. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Mwijuke, then Warswaka. I'm coming this side.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the Minister of Police, Internal Affairs, has decided to defend all the activities, including illegal ones, of the police. The person they were beating up is a former Minister of Internal Affairs. He's a former National Political Commissar. We must respect the police, but you also should respect some of these senior leaders who are senior to you. The way you respond to what happens to them, we don't know what the future holds for us. But two, the letter is advising the FDC to organize activities indoors. Can you imagine? that the police is deciding what activities FDC should do and where to go, that we want you to go indoors. Can we let that continue? That will be the police to advise on what activity and where. Mr. Minister, please, it's not fair. Right Honorable Speaker, the reasonable force he's talking about is water spray, breaking the vehicle, pepper spraying the occupants of the vehicle. That's reasonable force. Reasonable force. And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, he's talking about the police getting permission or maybe orders from court to go to the premises. Now, which court allowed the police to enter the premises of the vehicle of Dr. Besigye? If those are the premises he's referring to, the premises. Which court? Because it must be a warrant, must get from court to go and do such. But you see a police officer, a senior one, breaking the vehicle and spraying, pepper spraying the occupants. Mr. Minister, you know some of these things are just given to you to come and read. But you need to read through and appreciate that some of these things are not fair. I want to thank you.
No, Swaka. Nambeshe, then Achidri, Shave, then I get
Thank you, Madam Speaker and honorable members. As a senior cadre of NRM, Madam Speaker, I get disappointed the way police act. And the honorable minister, most of these opposition candidates, especially for presidential races, they don't have votes. Why don't you leave them to go? They don't have votes. They have votes on social media and TV. Now, leave them to go.
Point of order.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I am not understanding what Honorable Waswaka is talking about. Because, Right Honorable Speaker, in the 2016 general elections, Dr. Kizza Besigye got 3.5 million votes. And I can tell you 3.5 million votes without even rigging a single vote. Right Honorable Speaker, is the Honorable Member in order to insinuate that opposition candidates not have votes, that they have votes on social media, and yet it is on record that actually Dr. Besigye got 3.5 million votes in Uganda, Right Honorable Speaker?
Maybe you can elaborate on why he thinks they have no votes.
Madam Speaker, what I'm saying is that the votes Dr. Kizza Besigye gets, they cannot allow him to be a president. They are negligible. And whenever I come, I tell the people, I even told the Right Honorable Mbabas, that you have been a prime minister, but you will not get enough votes. Now I'm even telling others who are coming, they will not get votes. So, Honorable Minister, why do you brutalize people? They are insignificant in number of votes.
Clarification, sir.
Yes.
Clarification. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and remember for yielding the floor. We are discussing the law, legality, and common sense, Honourable Member, and you are telling this House that people who have no votes should just be left alone. So are you trying to suggest that then we can allow the police to abuse the law because people have no votes? Do you want to clarify, really?
No, Honour members, I think you don't know that Waswaka is actually helping you. He's telling the police, just leave those people. Don't touch them. That's what he's saying.
Madam Speaker, for clarity,
I'm saying police should leave you and you continue with your work. For example, my brother Bobby Wine, they leave him to sing. Because very soon he will run bankrupt, and let me hope he will come to the president for rescue. And, Honour Minister, that water pressure which you threw the thrust on Honour Besigye was uncalled for. If police cannot handle, you right to defense. Now, Honour Minister, I want to propose, and honourable members, especially the opposition, the Honourable Dr. Kizza Besigye, Madam Speaker, was a political commissar. The other time over the weekend I was in Bushenyi. I'm told he commanded the people to beat Dr. Kawanga Semogerere. Now he's also facing the what? The wrath. Now, Honorable Biga Kanya, tomorrow you might face the same what? Wrath. So what I'm saying, can we use these offices responsibly? But honourable members, especially of opposition, I want to request, Madam Speaker, I think the cabinet listens to your orders. If you are writing letters, I don't know whether, Madam Speaker, if they can copy to you letters, because sometimes they write to the minister or to the IGP, and the IGP doesn't do what? Respond in time. Especially if someone is having, within his constituency, information or I take.
You know, when we were enacting the Public Order Management Act, we were extremely careful to protect the rights of everybody, including the rights of the police. And we did preserve the rights of political parties, particularly when it comes to organizing meetings. And the letters envisaged under the Act are in most cases for information purposes to the police, not to disrupt meetings, but to aid the holding of the meetings. Now, and that's an executive function. Now, if you say we start writing and giving copies to Madam Speaker, you will be fusing the roles of the executive with the legislature. The only challenge we have is that the police has decided deliberately to violate the provisions of the Public Order Management Act. Because if you read that act and you follow it, there is no reason as to why anybody, be it the political parties or individuals, would be affected. And that's why some of us who know the rule have decided never to comply with unlawful orders of the Uganda Police Force, as long as what I do is within the law.
Let's go to Honorable Shave.
Finally, Madam Speaker, if that one will violate the law, as courtesy, why don't you give us just a blank copy, some of us, as courtesy? Can you say you are going to hold a rally, for example, in Ihono Fongaru's constituency? You write to IGP and you give me a blank copy, and you'll see whether these officers will not work. Others to come and camouflage that you have informed the police. Some people just do like this, just a blank copy. So, Madam Speaker, I want to condemn the brutality which these people use. It is very, very bad and uncalled for. But also to tell Honourable Minister, let these people move. They don't have votes to make them government. Let them stay and move in their chaotic manner. I want to submit.
Honourable Oshave, then Achidri, then Oto. I'm coming back now. Just two, one, two.
Thank you.
Oto, then I come.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I heard my colleague, the Honourable Wallace Waka, speak as though the police problem is only to the opposition. Madam Speaker, today, there is in Kaboa, there are people who are protesting against a factory that has blocked a road. In Kaboa, Madam Speaker, the police came and killed, murdered one of the demonstrators. And today, as we speak, Madam Speaker, it was not the opposition in Kabowa. It was people of Uganda who were demonstrating against a misbehavior of one of the so-called investors. So when you hear the Honorable Walswaka speak as though the police problem is about the opposition, I want to think it is far beyond that, Madam Speaker. This country is witnessing a police force that is making laws outside the laws of Uganda. We sit here, we deliberate on laws, they ignore the laws the way we've agreed upon them. They choose to operationalize, to operate by their own laws. Madam Speaker, we are here. We are talking about nation building. We're talking about democracy. How are we going to talk about democracy, Madam Speaker, when somebody in opposition is not allowed even to meet 5 people? Is that democracy? Is the democracy we are talking about a democracy of only one man? Madam Speaker, is that the democracy we are talking about? Because one man can win every other time, then it is democracy? Madam Speaker, we need to start thinking about this country. Our children are seeing whatever is going on. They are going to copy and they will think that is the way to do things. Because they are learning from us. When a minister comes here and start beating around the bush, instead of condemning in the strongest terms possible for the misbehavior of some police officers, the minister is busy, Minister of Government, here busy trying.
Honor Achidri, then Oto, then Nambeshe, and I get the last 3 here.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to join colleagues in condemning the police brutality against Dr. Kizza Besigye and many other Ugandans. Right Honorable Speaker, we have already known the profile of Dr. Kizza Besigye. I think you should avoid being disruptive. This is the Parliament of Uganda. If you want to speak, use the microphone. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm beginning to think there is a relationship between promotion in the police force and violence. Police officers who are kept on Katebe, who are not being promoted, when they get the opportunity, they end up beating Ugandans so that they can be recognized and they can get promotion. Right Honorable Speaker, when I saw what happened to Dr. Kizza Besigye, and when I hear my elder brother, Honorable Obiga Kanya's statement, I begin to wonder whether we are all interpreting the same law. It looks like the Public Order Management Act is being interpreted differently by the different stakeholders. Right Honorable Speaker, recently I was invited by Honorable Wadukasiano to his village for a meeting in his house. When we arrived there, we found the police had fully deployed. So I was asking myself, if we are using the Public Order Management Act, why will the police deploy in a home of Honorable Wadukasiano? So in my opinion, we may need to recall this law and review its weaknesses so that we tighten them to avoid this unnecessary brutality which is being legitimatized through the POMA. Right Honorable Speaker, the Uganda Police Force is meant
Naboto, Oto Nambeshe, then Atiku.
Thank you so
Nandala,
much,
Fungaro.
Madam Speaker, for this opportunity.
Others have just come.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I would request that you request the Minister for Internal Affairs to come and make a statement about police conduct all over the country. Because as of now, the police have become criminals, especially to border riders up country. In Pade, they now have logs at the roadside. When the border riders come, they behave exactly like LRA. They throw the logs in the middle of the road and then round up people and collect money. They collect money from all these border riders. Police bond is paid for. To arrest someone, you have to pay the police. They hire a border, then they go and arrest that person. So it's like the Uganda police has been privatized. Now tomorrow Christmas is coming. I'm again appealing to the president to issue those orders for the police to leave the highways. Because they have started collecting money with a clean conscience in broad daylight. This is our police. Madam Speaker, for me, I stay on Entebbe Road in Najanankumbi. I've now taken 3 years without stepping FDC headquarters because I've decided to keep out of trouble. Nothing works. I'm surprised those of Mwangakibumbi and Semuju are still writing letters. It does not work. You will write whatever letter, check the spelling errors. The fact remains, those meetings will not be accepted. You keep trying. You keep trying. You have a lot of stationery. Madam Speaker, there is no shame. There is no shame. These people, they don't have shame. They even found us in Parliament here. You remember what they did. So they will stop at nothing to retain state power. Now, what solution am I giving? Madam Speaker, to save Ugandans, as the president of CPA, we may have to start thinking under Article 70 to go back to the individual merit system. This multipartyism is not working. You people that side, you don't know what we go through. Madam Speaker, the little salary you give us, we bribe DPCs and RDCs to have village rallies. People give money. You call the money for deployment and security. You give $500,000, they clear you. 3 million, they clear you. You may have to consider increasing the emoluments of opposition members of parliament. We use our money for that purpose. Otherwise, you will not address any rally.
Onanambeshe, your time is up. Is it? Your time is up. Onanambeshe.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I was perturbed by the statement that the minister brought to this House. And if you were to subject it to scrutiny, Madam Speaker, it is full of concoctions. I've even been forced to go and look up some words in the dictionary, like premises, Madam Speaker. Premises in the dictionary of the Queen's language is qualified as a building and the area of land around it. But that Dr. Besigye's vehicle can be defined as premises. This one is a lie of the devil, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, during the times of walk to work, the tear gas and the water cannons were all over the place, and the justification was that this walk to work would degenerate into, would actually stretch
and end up in commercial active places like Owino, Chikubo, and that justification would hold water. But now Nambole, which business was to be disrupted inside Nambole Stadium that would justify the use of the unreasonable force the concoction justifies for reasonable force, that such water cannons and pepper spray would be used on Dr. Kizza Besigye, who survived narrowly, would have died. Madam Speaker, the cross-human violations in Uganda have attracted international focus. And those of us who care to know, we now know that even the likes of the former IGP has been slapped with sanctions just because of the human rights violations that he committed. The current occupant of that IGP office may be seen to be taking a back seat, aloof, but he will be held responsible personally for all these violations that are taking place, including the minister himself, who is arrogantly submitting that the police actions were justified. You don't know what surely tomorrow holds for you. Madam Speaker, one time I received the honorable member.
Honorable Atiku. Conclude.
And the honorable member is none other than the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. After we had a catastrophic landslide in Bukarasi, he procured a full diana of mattresses and a rolly full of posho, maize flour, and rice. When he got around Nabumali corner, Mbale summoned me, the regional police commander. So when I was summoned to go to Mbale to explain the circumstances under which this honorable member would bring those humanitarian aid food items, I met with 6 pickup fulls of police full with gadgets and tear gas. I pleaded with them and they almost disrupted that very peaceful humanitarian act on the part of the honorable member. So one would wonder, is this a partisan police working at the whims of an individual?
Atiku Nandala.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I join members in condemning the police brutality that has persistently happened whenever an opposition activity is going on. Madam Speaker, some of these excessive use of force depict this country negatively all over the world. When I hear somebody condemning an individual for blackmailing this country or for blocking investors, and yet the people who are, putting this country in bad light are under his direct command, it disturbs my mind. Madam Speaker, as the minister was presenting here the statement, I asked myself, why West Nilers are always appointed in that docket? It should be people like Barry Omunsi in that ministry, because it's their thing. You should shoulder the burden of telling lies, covering this brutality. It shouldn't be people from West Nile, because we are not in this thing. So really, I sympathize with Honorable Biga Kanya. When they dropped Honorable James Baba, I thought maybe we have been rescued. But now, we are back into the bad light. Madam Speaker,
the things that happened on that day, the picture that we saw, a police officer using a baton to break the glasses of a vehicle and spraying toxic content inside that vehicle, brought tears in my eyes. We were watching TV together with my kids. Everybody was in tears. And that's not the kind of picture I would like to see of our country, if we are talking of a democracy. If indeed the opposition is weak, as the Honorable Luswak has said here, why don't you give them the platform to air whatever they want to air? In any case, this was a meeting. The police was notified. Why not to give them the security and escort them to the venue and see whether they will disrupt public order? Last time when we had the famous walk to work, there was a police officer who sacrificed to escort the then leader of opposition, Honorable Wafula, from wherever he was up to Parliament here, and nothing happened. So why doesn't the police, Honorable Minister,
Nandala Fungaronzogu, then I take the last two here.
Madam Speaker, I would request that you add me a few minutes. Number one is that the letter which the minister is talking about, that it was copied to the Secretary General of FDC. I am the Secretary General, and I have never received that letter. If you have evidence that we have received that letter, please lay it on the floor, on the table. This business of coming to make allegations so that you can have a way out, even in the Bible, in the Quran, one day you will answer. Madam Speaker, the Public Order Management Act, which we made, it is very clear that a public meeting does not include a political party. And the police has no authority to grant permission. They have no authority. But these people are taking the law in their hands. I heard here Honorable Kamuntu laughing, smiling. Of course, we have to excuse him because it's in the evening time, anytime we will go. But these things will be dealt with one time. Madam Speaker, we are praying to God. Madam, you sit down.
Point of order, Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, you really can see an honorable member seeking to quarrel without provocation. I stepped out a bit and I come in the house. He said, "You have seen Kamuntu." Let me read him the Constitution. If you read the Constitution, Article 17, the duties of a citizen, Madam Speaker, includes you respect the rights and freedoms of others, you cooperate with the lawful agencies in the maintenance of law and order. To that extent, Madam Speaker, I would want you to watch the member on the floor. He should respect me because that is a requirement of the duties of a citizen. Is he in order?
Honorable Nandala, can you give me a reason why you are attacking somebody who was sitting, listening to you without disturbing you?
Madam Speaker, Honorable Kamuntu came a bit early. When members were submitting here, he was the busiest, laughing, making noise. Yes, yes, Madam Speaker. And I can tell you, Honorable Kamuntu is fond of that. And what I said is going, everybody will go to God. And Honorable Kamuntu, you will go to God. So, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker,
Another point of order.
Madam Speaker.
Order members.
You know, Honorable Nandala Mafavi, he should really know. I know he doesn't wish me well. You can see he wants me to go. Is he in order, Madam Speaker, knowing that God, everybody will go in accordance with his own order. Does he know when he will go, what will take him, and at what time he will go? Is he in order to wish me that I will go when he could go before me?
He's out of order.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for your wise ruling. Madam Speaker, what was done on that day, the police should be condemned. If possible, maybe those who acted should have been really dismissed by now. But from what the minister is speaking, it looks he directed them to do what they did. I am hearing whenever Mama Babas is going to come back, well, these are propaganda. But Madam Speaker, you recall when we were making these laws, you wanted them, the Public Order Management Act and the one of information. But he was the first one for us who had gone to use from the NRM side to be arrested in Jinja. He cried like a baby. In fact, it is me and late Kawesa, who was a policeman, who went to him and tried to rescue him. I know Otto was happy and others, but for me as a Christian and a Muslim, I had to. Madam Speaker, that's what I want to tell also the Minister for Internal Affairs, that it is not good to use your offices to come and make lies and not allow multi-party to be applied as it is. We want to ask you people who are in the executive, if you don't want multi-party, as Honorable Dongoto has said, please come and state it here and we end the story. Because this issue of saying there's multi-party and you cannot allow it to really be a multi-party country, then you are making a blunder. Some of us, to show you that we are good, not like Honorable Nawagaba who said it is the wrongful order. For us, we have obeyed even.
Now, Fungaro. Then Izogu. Then Kisa.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, blocking Dr. Besigye here, beating him, destroying his vehicle, blocking Honorable Chagulanyi here, this and the other member of the opposition or leader of the opposition means the issue we should debate here is not about police brutality. Whether they block us politely without being brutal or not, the issue is blocking the opposition from talking to the people of Uganda. Blocking the opposition even from talking to themselves. Now the question is, do we mean the opposition should not organize themselves? For like this meeting of Nambole is only for party members. They are talking to each other. Do you mean that the opposition should not even talk on radio? Madam Speaker, on the 9th, on the 8th, we were blocked in Adjuma and I was present with the party president
Honorable Patrick, Engineer Patrick Amuriat, Ajumani on a radio called Aulogo FM. We were told that we should get permission from the RDC, and the RDC wrote a letter, I have stopped you. The next day we went to Moyo on Voice of the Nile FM, we were stopped. The next day we went to Yumbe for a funeral. We lost our own brother called Angoliga Salim. Our party leaders, including myself, we had never gone for the burial. We went to condole with the family. We found police was deployed in the funeral place. That afternoon we went to Koboko. The chairman of FDC, the late Yora Maadili, died. I hadn't gone for the funeral. Dr. Besigye never went for the funeral, and other leaders, including the party president. We went there. The whole town of Koboko was deployed with the soldiers up to the home. Now, from all this, we can deduce this, Madam Speaker, that the opposition is not allowed to talk to Ugandans. They are not allowed to talk to themselves. So what should we do? Now, let me ask you people who are here, those who really came from the bush. You are in NRM in power. Did you have a rally in Kampala to prepare you to take power here? Were you one of them? If there is no rally, it doesn't mean that no plan can be made to remove you from power. Actually, the worst thing is what you are now seeing. Besigye should be decorated with medals, because he has shown that the best way is to use democratic means, not clandestine means. And you are stopping him. What about the one whom you are not seeing? You think there is nobody planning to remove you? Finally, people of Teso, people of West Nile, the ministers who are being presented wrongly come from there. The one before, this one of mine, my brother Honorable Wabiga Kanya, was from West Nile. The one before, General Jeje Odongo, was from West Nile, from Teso. Now, people of Teso, people of West Lastly, I wind up. Leave these people to defend their government. This government is not ours. They are threatened that their government is going. Don't fight to defend a government which is not yours. Bring the Bahima, the Banyankole, the what to defend their government. This is not your government. Why are you wasting your time defending a thing which is not yours? Why?
Clarification.
Don't beat people to defend this government. It is not your government.
Clarification.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker,
but
I am defending government and institutions of Uganda and not a government in West Nile, and I have no partisan interest that there will be a government on West Nile which I will come to defend. If there's one of Fungaro, let him wait for it, and God bless him. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Minister Bigakwanya is also very aware that he has seen so many regimes come and then they go. So it is true that even this regime that you are serving very soon is coming to an end. Right Honorable Speaker, in 1980, President Museveni addressed a rally in Nakulabye. We have not come here to discuss age. He addressed a rally in Nakulabye. And this is what he said. He said that if the elections will be reached, that he will have no option but to go to the bush. He addressed this in Nakulabye. Number two, Right Honorable Speaker, also this House is aware that actually he did not even win those elections. But he decided to go to the bush even when he had lost miserably. Now, he was talking about the gross mismanagement of elections at that time, and therefore the human rights that were being abused at that time, Right Honorable Speaker. The Constitution Square has become a no-go place. Kololo has become a no-go place. Even in Ambole, you are making it a no-go place. Where do you want us to go? Honorable Bigakwanya, where do you want us to go? Constitution Square, no going. Kololo, no going. State House, no going. Where? Nambole, no going. Where do you want us to go? Now, Right Honorable Speaker, I can clearly say this without any form of contradiction, that whatever we are doing today, we are doing it in defense of the Constitution. We are not operating outside the law. Let me tell you what we are going to do. And I want to read verbatim, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me tell you what we are going to do. In Article 3 of the Constitution, Article 3(4), listen to what we are going to do, Honorable Abiga Kwania. At all times, all citizens of Uganda shall have the right and duty at all times. Just give me 1 second, because I want to tell Honorable Abiga Kwania what we are going to do. To defend this Constitution, and in particular, to resist any person or group of persons seeking to overthrow the established Constitution order, and to do all in the power to restore this Constitution after it has been suspended, overthrown, abrogated, amended, and contrary to this, its provisions. I am telling you this.
Okay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Like my colleagues have said, I also raise to condemn the manner in which the police acted in pretending to keep law and order. Right Honorable Speaker, I call it pretense because in the process, the police created some disorder. Not only disorder, but like my colleagues have said, it was an attempted murder on the person of Dr. Kizza Besigye. Right Honorable Speaker, the world is full of violence, not because it has so many violent people, but because of the few good people who see wrong things happening and choose to defend them or keep quiet. Today, Right Honorable Speaker, we may look at these issues and we consider them partisan, and the minister will come here and say they are okay. Today is Dr. Besigye, tomorrow may be you, my dear brother, Honorable Abiga Kwania. Right Honorable Speaker, sometimes when the government is acting, I sit down and ask myself, is it because it is a resistance government? Therefore, it looks at everybody with an intention of resisting. You know, it is a government in power but has kept resisting. That's why it is called the National Resistance Movement. We don't know what it is resisting, whether it is resisting its own people or it's resisting its own laws. Why do I say so? The law, Right Honorable Speaker, that put in place a multi-party dispensation is a law we should all hold so dear to ourselves, because it's the law that makes democracy a reality. I really don't understand the reason why taxpayers' money should continue to be appropriated to political parties that government does not want to utilize this money. Money is apportioned to the political party called the Forum for Democratic Change because it is a registered political party. And this money is supposed to be used for political activities, not for going to the market and buy sugarcane and buy sugar. No, for political activities. And if this money is going to FDC for political activities, what on earth do you want them to use this money for? What kind of political activities should political parties be engaged in to use? Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Okay, Honorable Lianda.
We may not have the audacity of going to distribute this money like Genome 7 does. We may not want to use it to buy support, but we use it to mobilize people, we use it to talk to people, to sell our agenda. Right Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that we are calling Uganda a democracy, and yet we are busy killing the democracy. Democracy is losing meaning. If democracy...
Honorable Lianda.
Madam Speaker, I rise to submit very painfully to our dear brother minister. Good governance presupposes a functional democracy. From independence to date, I think we have walked enough journey. We have had very painful experiences. If you look at the number of times we have changed government violently, I think there are so many, as opposed to peaceful change of governments. And to date, if the minister reads the statement he read, brings to our minds, if you look at the answer, what Ibingira did in this floor of parliament. And this is history repeating itself. Multi-party democracy was fully debated. It was agreed the movement system should move on while the parties be in abeyance. The constitution, the court moved that multi-party democracy should be reintroduced. A referendum was held. Everything was put in place. We are in a multi-party democracy where the Bill of Rights, as it is enshrined in that constitution, is being practiced. We do not understand to date how we are selling this multi-party democracy. For me, if you look at the meeting we call IPOD, where we attend as parties, you begin to think, Madam Speaker, whether even IPOD should be in place. We are moving to South Africa for 1 week to study proportional representation as opposed to winner takes all as parties of Uganda. But if in our behavior we are doing this, how do we go for benchmarking of proportional representation when other political parties are not being allowed to operate? It is very easy.
Clarification.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And thank you, Honorable Member, for allowing clarification or question. When we passed the Public Order Management Act, I was in this house and this side, and we provided that the organizer of that kind of public meeting should notify police. And notify, yes, I am coming. And Section 6 talks about notification by authorized officer. And I just want to read the verbatim. I'm seeing a clarification. It says, upon receipt of a notice under Section 5, Section 5 talks about the organizer notifying police, where it is not possible to hold the proposed public meeting for reasons that A, let me go to B, that the venue is considered unsuitable for purposes of crowd and traffic control or will interfere with other lawful business, the authorized officer shall in writing within 48 hours after receipt of the notice notify the organizer or his or her agent that it is not possible to hold the proposed public meeting, and the notice shall be delivered to the organizer's address as stated in the notice of intention to hold the public meeting. It has other provisions. Now, according to the minister's statement, police wrote to Honorable Semuju requesting that police be availed with proof of permission from the owner of the venue, which is the requirement of the law, advising that the car park is an open space which would not be conducive for holding such a meeting, suggested that the seminar be held indoors instead, and further informed Honorable Semuju that the conduct of the intended activity should be in compliance with the Electoral Commission roadmap. And according to their statement, yes, just hold on. According to the statement, Honorable Semuju did not respond to this information. So my point of clarification is, wouldn't you think that it was also proper that Honorable Semuju, as the organizer, should have responded to police and maybe convened a meeting with them to harmonize? Because my understanding is that police had not stopped the meeting, but had advised that they meet, organize, and maybe shift from the car park to indoors so that police can secure this meeting. Would it have been also proper for democracy that the organizer of this meeting also respects police and discusses with them plans to have this meeting? That's the point of clarification I wanted to seek.
Well, Madam Speaker, I'll not give any comment on that clarification. This debate is about common sense. It is, so I will just continue to say that the most important thing that we need to do is to take stock whether we are practicing multi-party democracy or we are pretending it. And the only thing we need to do, I would also see
information
that we need to proceed to the Constitutional Court for interpretation of this act.
Information.
Because the way many experts are beginning to tell us gives a lot to be desired.
Information.
This is the course of action we need to take. We need the Constitutional Court to give us the clarity on